As a kid, I went to a majority black school. It's a Catholic school. 80% black. Vast majority black. Right? Even in this environment, as the darker skinned kid, kids cuss each other out, we all know that.
Yeah.
But as the darker kid, my main thing that people went to was how dark I am. You're black. Now the important thing.
Blick.
You're black, you're blick.
Yeah.
Now blick,
Yeah.
blick makes sense, right? Because it's like a funny thing. It's a funny way of saying a thing, so you're trying to poke fun at it. But what I want to point out is how someone could just say you're black. They didn't have to remix it. They could just say that, and that was seen as hilarious. Not just funny, not like a good diss. Just say it pronounced. You're black. Say it loud enough.
Yeah.
And all the kids would laugh really hard. 3 things I'll remember about that. 3 things I'll never forget about that. Is that 1, the black kids would laugh more than the white kids.
Yeah.
The white kids will find it a bit funny, but more so they're finding it funny because the black kids are finding it
That's a
funny.
guilty laugh. They don't even show if they should be laughing.
They don't even really want to laugh.
That's
But
true.
everybody else is laughing. I don't want to be the one that don't find
They're
it
looking
funny.
around for permission to laugh.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But part of me also feels like they're looking at the black kids like, bro, you're black too. Like, what do you mean? Do you get what I mean? It's only the black kids that actually see the distinction.
Yeah, so they'll see the irony of the self-hatred.
They'll see the irony.
Yeah.
And they're kind of like, right, if I don't laugh, then it's like, I think you're all confused. So I got to laugh because they can kind of, bruv, you're black. You're like 3 shades lighter than him, 2 shades lighter, and that doesn't even make sense. But it makes sense to us. Right? I've got a different story. Just to reference that, I remember talking to a brother he's my complexion. He's my complexion, but one time I referred to that. Me and you the same, bruv. You're darker than me. So and the way he said it with chest, he was offended. Bro, you're darker than me. I go, bruv, we're the same, bro. Go, bruv, we're not the same, bro. And he was offended. Like, I could see it. He was saying it like he wasn't, but he was offended. He didn't like the idea that he was as dark. He's the same complexion. I'll tell you that now. I met his girl before I met him. His girl, that's how his girl led the conversation. My boyfriend looks just like you. You know what I mean? But for him, no, we're different. Don't say that. We're not the same. Back to my story though. The other thing is that the laugh always seemed more funny than it should be. Like, it's like, raw, like, even at that time I understood this is a bit overcompensation. You lot are really trying to laugh hard at a man's not saying nothing much. A man's not said nothing much and you're really trying to make that sound like it's super funny. Like, he just said I'm black, bro. Where's this? It's not that funny, bro. If there's better disses, you know how it is. We skill for a dissing when you're young, innit? And the man just said you're black.
That's a lazy diss. That's a lazy diss. Blick was a stronger diss.
Bruv,
then I remember for what I remember.
You're right.
Saying black.
You're right.
Was a thing.
But that also worked, is my point.
Colorism.
You could just say black though, and it would still work. You're right. Blick worked more because it was more like he pronounced it in another way, right? And it makes it more somehow funny. But the point is, I'm saying black was also enough to get a laugh. Whereas you had to be skillful if it was another topic. You had to say something witty. You didn't have to. You just had to say black. The point I'm getting at is that was powerful enough to work. Period. You could say something better, but that was still good enough. And now what that tells me is that we, remember, the majority black school, it's not coming from the kids. It's not coming from them. They're learning what we all think. Yeah. And they're just putting out what they think we agree on.
Yeah.
So they're reacting based on what we think as a group. So, it's very clear. This is not something they all just think individually. They all kind of have the same understanding. So where's this, you know what I mean? It's not coming from them. And I would argue it's coming from the culture that we all come up in. Our cultures.
It's definitely a wider conditioning, but I think young people within that wider conditioning have more extreme and more radical ways of expressing them. So we as children, I think, would express our prejudices way more overtly than we would as an adult. We might show and display our prejudices to our children in the home, but we don't necessarily openly display it outside. I think our children, without tact, will say you're black because I've heard mum say it, or I've heard cousin say it, I've heard uncle say it. So I think we do see it more acutely, maybe in children, in children, youth culture, where there's less tactful, they're less politically correct.
You said radical. I just think they're just being honest, like you're saying. Tactful and using these terms. I think that adults are just smarter and not looking colorist, right? And the kids ain't got the skill yet to not look like they have that view. I'm just gonna say how I've been taught it. What do you mean? That's what I've been taught. Yeah, so I don't even think they're radical. They're just saying what everyone seems to be telling me, but they're just not saying it. I'm saying it. How about that? I'm just gonna say because kids don't know how to lie yet. They ain't figured out the game.
Yeah.
So they just say it. So they're not even radical. I just think they know how to not pretend. If that makes sense. They're just not pretending yet. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Adults find ways to get around it. But the kid don't know that skill yet. I'm just going to say it how it is. And that's why the other kids laugh. Because the other kids know it too. And it like hits. You know what they say? It's funny because you're saying what I'm thinking. That's what it is. It comes from that internal, we all kind of know this is what everybody thinks. But you said it. You said that it's funny that you're black. That's why I'm laughing. Because we kind of know that. That's a funny thing. We kind of know that. My parents have suggested it in this and that way, like you just said. So you're saying it and you're pointing it out. So these are the things that, right, I thought, are really demonstrative of an issue we have.
Yeah.
And point to the fact that we have a problem with, and we might dress it up, oh, it's a name, it's a color, we don't have a, really and truly, we have this belief system that we've given to our kids, and there's evidence of it if you look for it. It's right there. It's very easy to see.
Welcome to the Black Science Podcraft. This is a cross between a podcast and a presentation where you'll have one speaker delivering a concept, a theory, an idea to the other. So the goal is to allow you to critically analyse these points and to see if they hold any weight.